you get the go-ahead, and wait till they say they've cleared everything away, because boy, there's usually 1 or 2 areas that can be really rough. All right, 77 degrees right now. It's really pleasant. It hasn't been heating up that much. Was supposed to be around 84 degrees, so we're below average. And again, another refreshing northwest breeze coming in. Temperatures are going to be on the rise, but then we're going to get another little bit of a dip in that temperature as well this week. So we're near 80 in Ontario and also Mountain Home, 77 in Boise, 60s in the Central Mountains. Everybody's seeing a lot of sunshine around. There's no storms developing anywhere. However, overnight tonight and tomorrow morning, we're talking 7 a.m. to say 9 a.m. This region right in here in the west central mountains might get an early morning thunderstorm before it goes racing on off to the north and to the east. So the forecast for the rest of the evening, just the way you see it, real pleasant outside. Lots of sunshine in the 70s. My extended forecast through the 4th of July weekend is coming up.
All right, thanks, Scott. One man is injured following a construction site accident in Canyon County. It happened about 1:30 this afternoon near the intersection of Chinden Boulevard and Middleton Road. Officials say the man was working down in a 20-foot hole when a large construction auger he was using backfired and hit him multiple times. Rescuers had to lower a basket down to him. It took them almost an hour to maneuver the man into the basket, given the close quarters in the hole.
He had some internal type injuries and possible pelvic injuries. So lifting him out of the hole, it takes a lot of manpower.
He was then flown by air ambulance to a local hospital. The man's injuries are not considered life-threatening. After the suicide death of a Boise firefighter, first responders across the Treasure Valley are banding together to support one another through their grief. On the same day, senior firefighter Charlie Ruffing died by suicide. Chief Dennis Stone and more than 200 other active and retired firefighters from around the valley got together to talk it out. They've met multiple times since that day, sharing their feelings and opening up about seeking treatment for their own mental health needs, something Chief Stone says is critical in keeping his crew strong on and off duty.
Other firefighters are seeing that it's okay to seek treatment, that it's okay to not be okay. I have sought help in my career more than once. I still have flashbacks for calls that I've gone on, and as I drive around town, I see calls everywhere I go in my mind. I'm trying to lead in that way too.
In tonight's Finding Hope, our Karen Lair sits down with Chief Doan and a licensed counselor who works one-on-one with first responders across the valley. We'll show you how the department hopes to learn from this tragic loss and what they're changing to prevent it from happening again in the future. Reports say millions of college students across the country are burdened with heavy student debt, sometimes $20,000 to $30,000 or more. It makes it hard for them, especially as they try to live on their own and make ends meet. But it makes it easy for scammers, since they know students who owe a lot of money are usually the most vulnerable.
They're usually pretty young, so they don't have the experience of paying a debt like this off. So oftentimes they are lured into these types of scams. And then we're also hearing about legislation that might pass or might not, but the scammers might take advantage of that also, saying, you know, the government is wiping your debt clean, here, apply with us now. And it might not be the case. They're always out there looking for their way to get into that market.
If you're needing some relief from your student loan, the Better Business Bureau advises you that you do your research. Check out the company thoroughly. Be skeptical of companies asking for upfront fees. And the best thing to do if you need some more time to pay off your loan, deal with your lender directly. Believe it or not, we're under a year away from another nationwide census. Governor Brad Little proclaimed today Census Day in Idaho and announced the creation of a new committee to assist federal partners in completing the census count. The U.S. Census Bureau conducts the count every 10 years, and it means much more than just counting numbers.
Federal funds are divvied up based on counts. The congressional districts are based on those counts, our legislative districts and all of that on the correct numbers. So it's a very important thing that we get those numbers correct.
American households will receive an invitation to participate by April of next year. Coming up on 6 on Your Side, hundreds of thousands of dollars are being spent to help some Treasure Valley schools. Up next, from priority construction to classrooms and crosswalks.
And coming up in weather, the Central Mountains are an inviting place to go to. It hasn't been extremely warm, but it was pretty decent in Redfish Lake today, up in the mid-60s right now, near 70 tomorrow. But there's a slight chance of some storms in the mountains. But what's up as we head towards the weekend? We'll look at this and into the weekend in my forecast coming up shortly.
6 on your side at 5 continues now.
Construction kicks off inside some Caldwell schools for the upcoming school year, including crucial changes to crosswalks, classrooms, and playgrounds. Jessica Taylor gives us a sneak peek at some of the projects at Sacagawea Elementary School with a $400,000 price tag.
Sacagawea Elementary is getting a much-needed revamp from top to bottom.
Seam over here, it's all coming up.
Voters approved a 10-year maintenance levy that supports the backlog of maintenance needs in the district. This year, Sacagawea's budget for construction is over $440,000, going towards fixing floors, walls, and everything in between.
Construction is quite expensive, and the school has been not addressed for quite some time.
Construction's only a few weeks in, so you can see where the water fountains and other electrical outlets need to go, but some of the more exciting improvements are happening outside.
Some of the old things that were out of compliance was the playground equipment that we have replaced, and now it's up to standard.
The dangerous crosswalk areas in front of the school on Illinois Avenue, which 6 on Your Side's report in February found services up to 100 kids walking to school, is also getting a safety upgrade.
Right now, the city is doing work on the crosswalks and sidewalks, so they'll be constantly going through, which I hope to have, or we hope to have those all taken care of by the time school starts as well.
A majority of this summer's funds, over $500,000, are going to Syringa Middle School for a full abatement of asbestos tiles and reflooring. There are also funds for re-roofing at Canyon Springs, Indian Creek Academy, and bathroom upgrades at other elementary schools.
It's going to be surprising. They're going to be pretty shocked because it's going to look completely different.
Reporting in Caldwell, Jessica Taylor, 6 on Your Side.
The district is already talking about construction projects for next year, the main being improvements to the ceiling, gym floor, and parking lot at Indian Creek Academy. The school year begins August 19th for Caldwell kids.
Coming up, the temperatures will be warming. If you're planning on doing some golfing tomorrow, it looks good. But if you're in the mountains, there will be some isolated thunderstorms popping up, and we're going to see a little more cloud cover during the day tomorrow. I'll talk about that, plus the weather leading up into this weekend and the 4th of July weekend, coming up next.
Now, Chief Meteorologist Scott Dorval with the On Your Side forecast.
It is Monday time for another Climate Matters Monday segment. We're going to go back and talk a little bit about tornadoes here. Data compiled by climatecentral.org. It actually comes from the National Weather Service, but they put these graphics together for us. And you know, the major tornadoes that form in the Midwest and Tornado Alley, May is the biggest month. It starts in February down south, and as the season changes, it pushes to the north. We're still getting tornadoes. But the core of those big tornado outbreaks, the number in the largest outbreaks has been a steady incline here. So our tornado outbreaks are getting, well, a little bit higher here. A lot more moisture coming into the central part of the U.S. You still have drier coming in from the west. There are more tornadoes and some of the worst tornadoes than anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, I should say, because of the way the country is set up. Just all the 3 elements needed for tornadoes coming right into the Central Plains. For more information, you can check climatecentral.org on tornadoes or any data that's even closer to home here as well. Look at this temperature history. We go back to the 11th of June. We were warm, temperatures in the upper 80s, low 90s, above average. And here it was. Last week we started that temperature plunge down to 65 on Thursday, and we've just slowly been climbing out at 78 yesterday. Today, about the same, maybe a little warmer, but we'll still be below average. And you look at the 10-day trend now. This is what everybody's been looking for, right? 77 degrees now. I've changed the scale because we're starting to go back up into the red, the above normal category. Midweek this week we're at 87, but look at this, another dip in the temperature coming in for Friday. Back down to 77 where we are today, climbing through the weekend. We go into the 80s, and so now we start heading towards, and here it is. This is July 4th right here. The latest charts have a ridge of high pressure building in which I'm going to show you here, and have the temperatures going into the lower to possibly mid 90s. There it is, right around that 4th of July weekend is when we tend to turn the clocks and go into summertime mode, and that may be the case, but the way the spring has been, don't be surprised if that cooler weather gets a little closer. I'll show you that coming up. In the meantime, our live St. Alphonsus camera in Nampa looking out over the interstate. A little heavy traffic coming out of town. Some high clouds beginning to increase, and there'll be a little more cloud cover during the day tomorrow than we had today. You see not much going on with the cloud activity, but when you look to the north and west of us here, we do have a low pressure system swirling offshore, warm weather coming in from the west, and this moisture right in here will come in and just give enough moisture to give some thunderstorms to the central mountains. The hot temperatures are being held at bay. Get a little surge of this coming in middle part of the week. It goes back down, and then it should come rocketing in for the following weekend. In the meantime, take a look at the McCall area today. Beautiful morning outside, and temperatures warming nicely to the 60s. So McCall looking pretty good. Low 60s now, upper 60s tomorrow. But again, we have more cloud cover and a chance for storms, especially in the McCall area. Watch out early tomorrow morning and after. Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures 70s and 60s. Extended forecast into the weekend coming up. 71 to 76 and mostly sunny, so a pretty good weekend coming in for those higher elevations. Here's that future cast now, and look at tomorrow. You see a little more cloud cover. There's the chance of some storms going by, and even tomorrow evening there's a slight chance in the valley, but I just don't think it's going to be a big deal. Here's that cool plunge of air that comes in later this week, then it goes to the north, and here comes the 4th of July weekend with the heat building in. Colder weather is lurking offshore, but I think right now it looks pretty confident that the heat will build in and we'll get into the 90s for the 4th of July weekend, not this coming weekend. So warmer tomorrow, a little more cloud cover, temperatures going into the 80s. We'll call it about 83 to 85 degrees. Wind should be a little lighter than today. Watch out for a few thunderstorms popping up in the morning and then again later in the afternoon in the west central mountains with temperatures around 68 degrees in the McCall area. Stanley, Sun Valley, a slight chance for a storm at temperatures 68 to 72. And then in the Magic Valley tomorrow, I don't think there'll be that much of a breeze. It should be pretty decent and getting warmer, 87 degrees in Twin Falls tomorrow. Our hottest day will be Wednesday, and then we cool back down to where we are now to comfortably warm temperatures for this coming weekend. On Saturday, it heats up on Sunday, and then that trend upward for the 4th of July weekend looks like it may be in store to go into the 90s.
A cool down to 77. I like that.
Yeah, the cool down to 77, you know, that does seem a little odd, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Scott. This afternoon, U.S. officials are meeting behind closed doors